Hey there. So, we have been studying the fruit of the Spirit. So far, we've studied love, joy, and tonight we're going to be studying peace. And I'm getting a lot of my information from the Word of God, of course. It's an inductive Bible study. But I also really like Elizabeth George's writing, and she has a book that she's written called A Woman's Walk with God. And I'm getting a lot of really good information from her book as well. And I came across something today that is share worthy. I'm just going to read it out, and I know you're going to love it because it has to do with choosing the peace of God when the pressure mounts. Who doesn't need that, right? Elizabeth George brings us into Mary and Martha's story, and most of us here surely want to identify with Mary, but many of us probably identify more with Martha. I know I'm guilty. So this is what Elizabeth George says. She says, "Do you remember when Jesus went to the home of Mary and Martha? Martha welcomed him and probably his 12 hungry disciples who cannot understand a little bit of the pressure that Martha was feeling at that point. So Martha was distracted with all her preparations and soon let the mounting pressure she felt to fix the meal rob her of any peace. A fact that became quite obvious. I would be in her place. If I had to cook a meal for Jesus and 12 hungry men, I would not be very calm myself. So we all need this lesson. She says, first, Martha's manner was a dead giveaway. Her behavior has been described as cumbered, distracted, worried, and busy. She tensely scurried about, bustling and bothered, fretting and fuming. A picture of anxiety in motion. She was literally and breathlessly caught up in the whirlwind of life. The cook herself was in a stew. I like that. Whipping herself up into a froth. I love the metaphorical language here. Finally, no longer able to handle the pressure, she burst in verse 40. And she had a few words for Jesus. That's when Martha's mouth revealed her lack of peace. Okay, we're talking about peace tonight. How many of you have found your mouth revealing your lack of peace? This is so convicting. She says, "Lord, do you not care?" She asked the master accusingly. That's in verse 40, pointing the finger of blame at Mary. Martha said next, "She has left me to do all the serving alone." The bossy big sister then dared to tell the Lord what to do. "Tell her to help me," she said. Besides stirring up a meal in the kitchen, Martha certainly stirred up quite a commotion in the living room with her verbal outburst. Martha's confusion about her mission also robbed her of peace. She was right to be serving Jesus, but she mistakenly thought that serving was her primary mission. Jesus saw the confused priorities of this well-intentioned woman and commented, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and bothered about so many things." In her efforts to serve God, Martha failed to remember that man's chief end is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. So, at last we come to Martha's mindset and the priorities which kept her from knowing God's peace. Martha was preoccupied with details and secondary issues. Her service to Jesus had degenerated into mere busy work that was removed from any devotion to Him. How that must have broken the Lord's heart. And this focus on service rather than on the one she was serving prompted Jesus to instruct her by pointing out that her sister Mary had chosen the good part, verse 42, by sitting at Jesus' feet. by listening to his word and by abiding in his presence. Do you want peace? There's the recipe right there. And Elizabeth George says, "Oh, how many times I myself have acted like Martha. Can you not identify?" Now, what can we learn from Martha's sister? First of all, Mary rested at the Lord's feet while Martha was restless. She also worshiped the Lord while Martha worried about the meal. She knew the peace of the presence of God while Martha panicked at a distance. Mary's manner clearly revealed a soul at rest and the imperishable quality of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is so precious in the sight of God. And Mary's mouth rested too. Sitting in the presence of God himself, she had much to learn. You see, Jesus spoke the words of life, and so Mary was quiet. Oh, I want to be a Mary. Like her sister, Mary's mission was also to serve, but she also understood the more important priority of worship. Wanting her relationship with Jesus to be the highest priority in her life, Mary made choices which reflected that desire. She knew when to quit serving and when to start sitting. Clearly, Mary's mindset was pleasing to the Lord. As Jesus said, Mary had chosen the good part, which shall not be taken away from her. She had her mind set on things above, not on earthly things. As it says in Colossians 3:2, she was focused on the eternal, not the temporal. As it says in 2 Corinthians 4:18. Are we focused on the eternal or the temporal? I know Mary is definitely a model I need for my hurricane lifestyle, and I'm guessing a model that you need too. Boy, is she right. And so I try to remember this picture of Mary sitting, resting, worshiping, at peace as I juggle the continuing everyday demands of schedules, commitments, and life. Is she not describing your life? And then the last paragraph, she says, and now it's time for a closer look at your own manner, your own mouth, your own mission, and your own mindset. What would an outside observer see in you right now? Would they see a Mary or a Martha? Are you in turmoil or are you trusting and at peace? Are you running around in circles or are you resting in the Lord? Are your words revealing a sense of panic and pressure, or are they words that edify and encourage and that minister grace to those who hear, as it says in Ephesians 4:29? Are your actions reflecting the priorities God would have you set? Is your relationship with Him first, or are you too busy to sit at His feet and enjoy His presence? These are some things for us to think about as we study the fruit of peace in our own walks with the Lord.